Good morning, January 19th, 2023, our regular board meeting agenda at Magna Water District at 8885 West, 3500 South, our general office building. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Present today, we got Clint Dilly, legal counsel Nathan Harvickson, Dallas Henline, Jeff White, Mick Sudbury, Danny Stewart, Leal Fitzgerald, Andrew Sumption.
We're getting closer each month.
Okay, Raymond Mondragon, and Trevor Andre. Would you guys all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome the public and guest. So as you see, every year we nominate a new chair.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Mick as the chair.
I second it.
Okay, it's been motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What does that give me, 4 years now?
Yep.
Close. Or over.
Okay, anybody here have any public comments this morning?
I have no slips.
Okay. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with what's on our agenda today? See none. Okay, approval of common consent items. Jeff, do you want to read them?
Sure. I'd like to I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held December 8th, 2022, and the minutes of the special board meeting held December 13th, 2022.
Let's second that.
It's been motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to approve the expenses for November 28th, 2022 to January 8th, 2023. The general expenses for $1,072,437.96, and the Zions Bank Bond payment for $166,564.38.
I'll second that.
It's been motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Clint, I'm going to turn item H over to you for their introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we've got our HR manager and our water operations managers and wastewater manager that'll kind of talk through these next two items.
Okay.
Dallas, do you want to start?
Sure. I'd just like to introduce everybody to Mark Manzanares. Mark comes to us with a background. He worked 10 years with a tree cutting company where he kind of was implementing safety and training coworkers. He comes to us with a Class B CDL. He's currently prepping to take his required CDL for the district. Mark's got a 6-year-old daughter. He's fitting in well. I've checked in with him a few times. He's excited to be here. He's excited to learn about the new equipment. Only positive remarks from his coworkers and from his supervisor. We're happy to have him here, and we appreciate your service.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mark. We're happy to have you.
Christian Thomas, he's come to the water service side, and we're glad to have him on. Christian started at the 4th. He grew up in Grantsville. He graduated from Grantsville High School. He bought his grandparents' home, and he worked for South Jordan. He's got a Class A CDL, got a grade 4 in water distribution, and he has a Class A CDL. He's familiar with CAT equipment. He has a lot of experience working with South Jordan. Likes hunting, fishing, camping, archery. And I think he's going to be a great skill set for Magna Water, and we're looking forward to having him here and helping out the crew. Like I say, now we can split up and make two crews now, and knowing that you'll be able to take charge.
And leave the other departments alone.
So we're looking forward to him, and I think he's going to be a great benefit to the company, and
I hear all those manly hobbies. I heard you were into sewing and knitting. Is that true or?
I don't read that.
Hey, it's a little bit closer here, isn't it, than South Jordan, but welcome.
I live in South Jordan.
Oh, do ya?
Yeah, I follow my grandparents' house.
Okay, great.
Oh, thank you.
But welcome.
We're excited to have both of these.
It's nice to have full crews now. Now we don't have to borrow people from collections or wherever we gotta get them from.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
On that item H, we're done.
Okay, the next one, I'm gonna turn this over to Dallas and Raymond for the employees. Come in.
Go ahead, Dallas, go ahead and.
Okay. If you guys recall at the holiday Christmas party, we congratulated Scott Beck for being nominated for wastewater treatment plant operator of the year. And for those of us that don't know about that, that's, anybody can be nominated for that event. The classification would be for a treatment plant operator under 5 million gallons per day. So, Scott's going up against some tough competition. We won't find out the results for a while, but I think what I wanted to highlight here is Scott's improvement, the value that we've seen from Scott and his growth and how he's been able to grow at the treatment plant. I wanted to point out to these guys that a nomination in and itself is great. So we
Yes,
can't
it is.
always win, especially going up against every other treatment plant operator in the state. So congratulations to Scott and thank
Yes,
you for all your hard
absolutely.
work.
Good.
Matt Hunter was not at the holiday Christmas party this year. He had a conflict, but I wanted to congratulate Matt and let him know that he's up for a collection system operator of the year under 5 million gallons.
Great.
That's awesome. Hey, we missed you too this year.
One thing I try to
That
tell my
was a big part of the last year.
Yeah, one thing I try to tell my operators is that there's not a lot we can do to separate ourselves. But some of the things that I see and recognize in both these guys is their punctuality, their respect for their coworkers, and their dedication to the district. So those are just a few of the reasons that they've been nominated.
And it's an honor just to be nominated,
It is.
you know?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
The collection system is on a great trajectory. They've had a lot of good accomplishments over the last year. And a majority of that we can thank Clint Giles for. And I wanted to let him know that his collection system has also been nominated for Collection System Operator of the Year under 5 million gallons.
That's good.
Great, congratulations.
Congratulations.
So can I jump in, as part of nominations as well? I've nominated the wastewater treatment plant for plant of the year under 5 million gallons. I think we've had a lot of, with the new system, the new aeration, the new clarifier, there's been a lot of good things happening down there. Operators advancing, position changes. So a lot of things to talk about with that and consideration for nomination as well as with the reuse progressing forward. So thought it was a good time to kind of
Absolutely.
highlight all of that and see where we stack up. So
Oh, good, I'm ready for a party.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to recognize Travis McDonald and Spencer Simons for completing their CDL. It's such a benefit now that we have all our operators with CDLs now, that it really makes a lot of difference on the construction side for repairs now that we actually can split up, make 2 crews if we need to, and we won't have to pull Dallas's crew into it now. So it's been we're off to a great start this year, and I'm glad to see, and I'm glad all our operators all have their CDLs, and now we're working on their certification. So I think we're on a good start ahead of the rest of this year.
And you know what, that's awesome, because I was worried about all this so much, and you kept saying, relax, it's gonna work out, it's gonna work. Well, guess what? You proved me that it is, so I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you, you guys, for your hard work.
That's all I have.
Hit Chet.
Sure, on there also, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to recognize Chet Draper and Dylan Delbell. They've both been working on cross-training and advancing through their certification options. They both recently completed water operator treatment grade 1.
Awesome.
So it's a benefit to the district where you have wastewater operators taking water certifications and also water operators taking wastewater certifications. So that's part of the program that the operations team has been working on, is increasing cross-training for the additional benefit of the district. And in a pinch, we can send operators to work on different crews, and it just sets us up for emergency situations and puts us in a little bit better spot.
Awesome. So getting back to that, are we doing a little bit of, like tutoring, helping, making sure we get our, getting the people, get our employees what we need?
Right. So-
Okay.
Right.
Okay, awesome. Because that's one thing that we as the board was concerned to make sure we have everything we need so these guys can pass their tests and their help. Awesome.
I think with Andrew here is gonna make a lot of difference too. I talking with him this morning, he's on board, looking for material as well, and with help with Dallas. The material that he has down at the plant, it's gonna be beneficial for the newer operators.
Great. Like that. Anything from the board? No. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the general manager report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. You got the report in there. I'll just highlight a couple items, and then if there's any questions on anything in there that I didn't address. We're moving forward on the basement remodel. That should be complete in the near future.
Yep, they're making good progress. Some of the things that will kind of hold up the end schedule is doors. Hard to come by, long leads. So they had, ordered those for their March delivery, but moving forward well. We do have some changes. This carpet that we have here is no longer made. So
Of course not.
we was hoping to have you guys look at some samples at some point.
Did we make a change for a doorway, for a hallway, for the bathrooms? I think we need to really look at that.
Yeah, we've talked about it. That space, we felt like keeping it open was
Yes, thank you, Johnny.
was the right choice. We can still talk about it, and it is possible, but
Well, I'd like the other two board members to look at it, because my recommendation, we need to put a hallway there so you don't open the door up and you're walking right into an office.
yeah. So I spoke with Rob, in the future space of that whole area. In the larger area, that's likely where we're gonna set up his office and use the other space to store engineering plans, our extension agreement documents, things like that. So maybe a little change from the initial thought process, but he'll sit in the bigger, larger area.
But you gotta look at it down the road, he's there today, who's gonna be there tomorrow? I mean, excuse my French, but I wouldn't want to have somebody walk out of the bathroom that just stunk it up, my office is right there. My recommendation is let's put a wall up.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. If that's the way.
It needs to have a hallway in there. You got an office here, and you're gonna open the doors into the office? I mean,
Yeah, we'll work with them on a change and get it back.
but I want these two other board members to look at it and see what they think.
Sounds like it needs to be done.
Okay. That'll open us up for being able to move forward in the future with the staff engineer, as we've talked. Trevor and Andrew are working on some more information to help decide on that.
Would there be like a little room down there that you could have like literature for like training, like, I guess you want to call it like a little library that have a bunch, like Jeff brought up a long time ago about having all kinds of stuff of training on everything. And I know everything changes, but it would be nice to have literature down there where the guys could go down and get it and look at it, and maybe have a table where they could sit down and just I mean, I don't know if it's that big down there. I mean, I wanna go back down there today.
Should be room to accommodate some of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we go into closed, I'd like to walk downstairs.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, the other thing I'll point out is, we did, Raymond will talk to you about Jordan Valley. Maverick is obviously moving forward with their gas station, and they'll have the RV dump portion. We're thinking that's gonna be ready to go before we open our RV dump.
That's the one on 8,000?
Yeah,
Wow.
so we're excited about that. We'll be able to promote that as another option.
So let me ask you that about that. Should we maybe hold off on opening ours up and see if the Maverick, because that's a big Maverick down there,
It
and
is.
It's
and
close.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll show the board exactly, if we could get an idea for the board to see what kind of volume they could handle once it's up and going, and then we can make that decision. I think we'll have time. We'll bring that back and talk through
I
it.
had two groups of people that said they don't like the fact they gotta spend $5
Yeah.
to clean it out, but
Yeah.
the other people said they would think that's better. Unless there's a line, they'll go down to Magna, but they like the closeness
Yeah.
right there.
the only thing that I don't like is now they put that island, and as you turn off 201 to come up 8,000, it has a turning lane,
Yeah.
and you got to come out around that. I don't, I think that could, I don't know, that
They
could
should
be.
have made them go on this frontage road to get in there.
Yeah, well, I.
Yeah,
we'll see what
that's,
that affects.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay. And then I think that's all I wanted to highlight,
Okay.
unless the board had any questions on it.
I would like to say that your write-up looked absolutely excellent.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to get back to you. Yes, I thought so too.
That was awesome. And, the increase, $2.35.
28 cents, yeah.
When will that take effect?
That's, February, so you'll see it on the February.
Okay.
The reason we don't do it in January is because January includes some of December's usage, so we just wanna make sure.
It looks
that-
minute to me, but I know some people are gonna be affected by
So we wanna give them a heads up. And
it. I think that was excellent.
So speaking, since we're so cramped, have you got any more information on expanding the wing?
So I did, I reached out to the representative that did the original, and he really felt like an extension would be real difficult to find and make work. He did present another option that I can bring to the board in the next meeting. It's customizable still, but it's a higher quality than what the last option was. So if the board likes that, or we can just say, hey, no, we just want this no matter what you think.
Well,
But
you
their
wanna-
recommendation is it's not gonna be real workable of a solution to make.
So
it
do they
timely.
not make this stuff anymore?
This stuff, no. They make
Of course not.
How do they make you pay more?
It's, well, if you figure, this is probably 7, 8 years old of a
Is it
model.
really that old?
Yeah, by the time you figure in when it was designed and, I mean, the model it takes.
Color matching's difficult.
So we talked about going with a gray end cap.
Well, you wouldn't need to buy a table downstairs. You could just use this central piece as a table.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, I think we need to,
Now, you said something about if we wanna live with gray end caps, they can make it work?
they could, he said he didn't think it would look good,
Oh,
but they could do it.
okay. I think gray will look okay.
It was like, he was like, I don't think that's gonna look good for what I think you're trying to accomplish, but I think they can do it if we just say, hey, go for it. Can make something work. So I'll bring back that other option for the board to look at.
Why don't you ask for a design and the cost for a new,
Okay.
The whole new thing.
see where we're at on that?
Okay.
Just so we're not, yeah, because it'd be cool just to expand one of the wings down another 3 feet, so
this table downstairs, she's gonna.
And that's certainly gonna be the least expensive option. It's just, will it look how we want it to
Right.
look? As long as it's functional.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
might cost a little less than half of a whole brand new thing, so, yeah, you better look at it.
Well, we also want to make it look good too. We've got an expensive building here, and let's not just.
I have a question, Clint. How's it going with the town council? What are those meetings like?
So the last one I attended, it seems like they've improved. Their meetings continue to get better. They've got more capabilities. They can now broadcast. They seem like things are running more smoothly, in my opinion, just from observing. They were receptive, and it seemed generally positive with the water district. I didn't get any feedback of concerns per se. Did you have a specific question on something that?
No, it just seems like they were always trying to include us in a lot of things we really shouldn't be involved in, and.
I
but
don't
then
get
again,
that sense, yeah.
It could have been the other manager, so I don't know.
There is a pipeline agreement that they want to do a more universal pipeline agreement versus a case by case. I think we're generally accepting of that idea. We've got that in place in other areas. That's one thing they wanted to coordinate on. Then they've also wanted to coordinate on like the reverse 911 system, the communication system that sends out.
That was a little more sticky though, wasn't it?
I think they kind of feel like we would benefit more from it than they are benefiting.
Really?
So
that means they want you to pay more of the cost?
we aren't actually using it right now, and so we're not contributing any of the costs. We've got our own system set up through that network, the website, that we can send out the notices, so our interest in that is not as high as it used to be.
Right.
Because we've got our own system.
And I think if we can just do our own, just so you guys know, the city administrator, she resigned.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Her name's Rory.
Rory? Okay.
She resigned. I guess she had she does Midvale City, and they kind of said either one or the other. Midvale did. So, they're gonna be looking for a new person.
Good to know, thank you.
Clint, can I add a little bit of background on the agreement with the pipe?
Sure.
This has been an issue that the metro townships have been talking about for a while, because the way it's kind of fallen out is the metros are all represented by water attorneys who represent districts. Not necessarily the same district. So for instance, Paul is from White City, but he's White City's water manager. And so the concern is that the agreements that the metros inherited, the forms from Salt Lake County, were drafted in a very defensible way for the county to protect the county's interest, but could be kind of onerous for the districts. And so the discussion that Paul and I have been having is, well, the districts and the metros have the same tax base. They're the same people. So, this isn't like a private utility or a for-profit business coming in and using public infrastructure. It's going to impact everybody. So what we've been talking about, and this has been a discussion we have for years, is to come up with a franchise agreement that would give you the right to put your pipes in everywhere in town, and then give you kind of a more transparent process if the city needs to move them. Because the counties were like, we'll give you 30 days and you gotta move your stuff, which for a district, pipes is just not that feasible.
Right.
So that's something we've been talking about for a while now.
Good to know. That reminds me, we have had some confusion. I don't know if the board's received any calls, but we have had some customer confusion with Hero Property, an HOA in town. Wanted to make the board aware of that. This is a situation where they told us initially they were going to be paying for the customer's billing, but then changed And so it's created confusion because the customers weren't paying and the bills were building up and we were asking what's going on, and we're getting calls and trying to sort through that process. And this is Gabler's
Grove, the
Grove.
townhomes, phase one.
the townhomes. So if the board hears anything on that, we're working.
Ivy Homes, right?
Yeah.
So we're working through that customer at a time, and with the HOA, but I just want to make the board.
Can we go meet with the HOA? Have they formed an HOA yet that we could go to one of their meetings?
They
and
might have,
They have,
an HOA, but the HOA has hired a property manager, and this is that Hero Property
Okay.
Management. Is it the same as the HOA?
oftentimes, they are property managers that are
I see.
potentially separate, you're right,
Okay.
from an
But
HOA.
we've been in communication with Hero Property, so we've billed all the residents back to with the dates they've moved in. The problem is Hero Property, well, at this point in time, the problem is Hero Property billed them for water and sewer, and we're not showing those payments. So we're waiting for Hero to
Make it more cumbersome.
go through their ledgers
It
to
can,
tell us
definitely.
who paid.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it more, I mean,
Boy,
I know
they,
the county, I know Greg Baptist always wanted to form an HOA, but when you start dealing with, services, isn't that a lot more?
it can be, depending on how they handle it, yes, absolutely.
So,
Sometimes it's nice for, a lot of people love when the HOA pays all the utilities and they don't have to worry about it, they love it. But if the HOA starts backing out or there's confusion, it creates a nightmare.
And if somebody doesn't pay, then how do we go take care of it? Now you got a middleman in there.
Right.
I kind of think that's gonna create a bigger problem for us, you know, because
It
then
has
the HOA
created a
say, well,
headache.
they didn't pay, and so then we wanna shut it off, and how do you get any, how do you
yeah,
get
cause it
any
ain't
straight?
fair, and it ain't fair to the homeowners, cause they've paid it to the HOA
Exactly.
and the HOA hasn't paid it. I mean, I think we've had, it's like this trailer court up here too, where there's been issues where they say, oh, it all goes in there. Well, I didn't use that much water, but they're billing me for,
Yeah, we've had that come up sometimes, but
Maybe we ought to
recently
make up an agreement between us and the HOAs describing some situations that has to be made.
I think we can provide some more clarity up front, you know.
you have legal counsel get involved in it, because like I said, if they're paying into this HOA and they're not getting,
The problem, and maybe what it needs to be is before we'll let them sign that agreement, that we actually see a final document that clearly communicates. Like, a lot of times they'll come in and they probably had every intention of paying and signing up in this certain way, and they sign up. But then somebody decided to make a change, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't notified.
Yeah,
So that's where maybe there's something that we need to see the actual HOA document.
so what did the
Well,
HOAs?
we had applications from the owner, the HOA,
Right.
so we set up the accounts under that, and we proceeded in that direction, because we had those application cards for every location.
but doesn't
But what I'm saying is
doesn't
maybe we
he-
need to add that. If it's an HOA signing up, there's another step, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we could add
We need to see
something.
that it's written in the HOA.
Well, don't we need to
document.
see the owner, don't we need to see the owners and be able to, call them and say, we need to see who's paid, who hasn't? Don't we need to
We've
see
done
that
that.
ledger?
That we do
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Oh, they do?
Have they responded back to us?
They're working on it. It was 3 weeks before I kept calling them and emailing them saying, hey, we've got customers saying that they've paid you already. We need you to go through your ledgers and tell us who that is. I know of one person right now that's telling me, and it was 2-3 weeks, and it was during the holidays, I didn't hear anything from them. So finally, January 3rd, 4th, 5th, just not too long ago, I finally heard back. Well, who is it that's complaining? I'm like, we've had several. You need to go through every ledger you have and tell us. So that's what they're doing.
Maybe we ought to write that in the agreement. If they're not responsive after so much time, we need to get rid of this.
So can we could we, by law, can we go in there and just shut their waters off? Just say, hey, if you don't have this paid, we're shutting your water off to all these houses. Can we do that?
We can.
So, yeah, I mean, we can follow our normal termination of service provisions in the AR&Rs, but just so I understand the situation, so each of these units is individually metered?
Yes.
So they're all individually metered on meters, so we're sending individual accounts to each homeowner,
Each renter.
each renter, but the HOA is also billing them for water?
They were in the beginning,
Okay.
when we were billing the HOA.
Okay, so before the homes were sold, we were billing the HOA for the bills. But now that people have moved in, we started to send them to the individual owners. That seems, hopefully that's just an accounting issue, because it seems like if they're individually metered, the HOA shouldn't be charging them for water. Now, of course, that's gonna depend on what their HOA agreement says.
And that's where
Which
we need to see it,
And
actually.
they aren't anymore. In the beginning, from what I understand, they did. That's what we need to see. What was
Once the homeowner signs into the HOA, they don't really have a lot of leeway.
And they don't know. A lot of times the homeowners just don't know.
No, the
It's-
HOA
It's
kind
something
of
that's
controls it.
confusing. It's confusing. It's a common point of confusion for homeowners. What's the HOA paying for, what they're paying for. That is very
So what is that's what I'm saying, so that HOA down there, what does it cover? Does it cover maintenance of their grass too? I mean, the
Garbage
grass,
collection.
I mean, it's not even as big, and is the county doing
Do we have any other HOAs that are doing it other than these guys?
Yeah, we have other
Little
HOAs.
Valley.
Do we?
Usually when the HOA pays the bill, and this is so much more problematic, is when there is no separate meter.
Yeah, it's usually one
It's
common.
it's
fee.
one meter,
Yeah.
and so
That's the normal.
Yes.
Yeah. And then in that situation, they're forced to.
Yep.
They can't put it onto the homeowners because it's one
There's
big
no
bill.
way, yeah.
So it's usually
We're
not as
working
big
through
of an
it.
issue.
The customers I've spoke with are very patient, have been. I tell them what we've done, where we're at, and tell them, just pay the current bill. We'll figure out that when we get all the information. And we are holding some of the property management's refund money hostage. I mean, we're not gonna refund anything back to them until this is all straightened out,
Wow.
so.
Let me tell you what happened in Granger. So they had a person on the renter was paying the water bill. They had a high usage, $1,500, we've heard of those. The problem was the renter did not check it. So it went on for 2 months before, and we're pretty careful to check that, say, hey, you've got a high water bill. Well, because it went to the renter, then all of a sudden it was delayed by 3 months. By the time they got somebody out checking, they had a leak. They had a leak between the house and the meter. And of course, that's not the renter's responsibility. That's the homeowner's responsibility.
Right.
So I'm just saying, it just creates problems when somebody else is involved in that.
It does.
See, where I'm lost though is if they say they're paying the HOA, they're sending in their payment every month with their HOA, and that's supposed to include water and sewer, but now we're telling them they have to pay us because, nothing's getting paid.
Or
The
we shut
problem
them
is
off.
in the HOA wasn't giving us that money.
In the beginning, the HOA was being billed and was paying. Then they decided to change it to have the renters be responsible.
The homeowners rent, the homeowners pay it.
So it stopped in the middle and we back billed because they wanted to go back to the day they moved in. So we back billed the renters to the day they moved in. Well, now the property manager needs to tell us what that person has paid so that we can credit it against their,
Bill, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I got it now. Okay.
yeah. It is very confusing.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
But we wanna make you aware of that. We'll
Okay.
continue to work through it and see if we need to make any changes to our
Okay.
protocols to
We'll evaluate that, yeah.
evaluate that.
Good idea.
Okay?
Okay, let's turn it over to the engineering report.
Okay, thank you, Board and Chair. So just had a few items in the packet, So I thought they would, we're good to have that information in there. So for the reuse project, we've made it through our pre-qualification of contractors. We had 8 contractors submit packets. We've pre-qualified all 8. We've got some really good contractors in here, all fully capable of building our project and having, hopefully 6 of those 8 put in bids. That's gonna help keep things, better
Yes.
bid prices, better costs overall, more competitive. So wanted to just highlight that. We're moving into the bid process then from here, and it'll basically be the full month of February. And in March, we'll be bringing a recommendation on a contractor based on those bids. So we'll look for that in a couple months.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. We got 8 of them.
Yeah.
Just a caution to the board that we have heard from some of them that they are busy.
Yep.
So that we probably won't see 8 bids,
No,
right?
no.
But we're hoping
Likely
for
not.
at
4.
least half.
Yeah, half or more.
Maybe. Okay.
But like I said, all good contractors and qualified.
Good.
The next one in there is the secondary metering grant. This is a good application. The state will fund 30% of meters cost. We took the approach here of installing meters in existing setters that don't have meters, right? So like for instance, last year we did the secondary water project on 35th and up by the high school, or the school, and all those had services put in, but majority of them didn't elect to have a meter installed. But through this, we can go through those, we can go through some of the past ones and put in 1,000 meters with 30% of that cost being covered by grants.
Wow, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah, but 30% is 30% of 500? Well, what was the cost for residents for a meter?
so in this scenario, the resident is not gonna pay for the meter.
Oh,
It'll be,
under the ground?
we'll
Oh.
we'll supply it for them through this grant.
We were thinking this could be like a step, one time. We can decide how that portion of, that's not in grant is actually, whether we come up with that fully or whether we have some sort of a program incentivized where they pay a portion, but we can come up
Yeah.
with how we want that to.
Right now, the idea would be but yeah, we could take, portion, 70% of the meter fee that we would normally charge or something, But
We were thinking it could be a one-time incentive, and if people thought there's this opportunity to get it at some lower cost, or even if we feel like it's worthwhile to cover that cost, this helps get us some money. We had to get kind of creative to get this grant money, because it's really geared towards people that don't have meters at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But we thought, hey, we do have some services out there that don't have meters yet.
Yep. And I think with reuse getting closer and closer, how that benefits our wastewater treatment plant, having more users is better, overall, so. Good opportunity for us. So that application's in, we don't know the results on that yet. And then also, just kind of following up with this discussion on West Valley and the property at our EDR water treatment. We've kind of refined this now. The proposal will be for about 0.834 acres. Majority of that is the pond and that Phragmite area right there on the south side.
You can sell a frag body.
And this comes with West Valley. Will then be able to move forward with some improvements to that area and help some flooding that occurs in other areas because of this pond here. But what we'll get out of this is, a fence relocation, so a new portion of fence,
New gate?
a new gate, because the access will be pushed a little bit to the north.
Which we were looking at needing to replace anyway.
It's kind
It
of
has on its last leg.
worked out in that sense. We'll have access easements, we'll have water line easements.
Right on.
All those things that we need in place as part of this. So if the board's supportive of this area and these things, then we'll have West Valley put together an appraisal and some costs.
I went down and Raymond took me down and showed me it, so I'm totally fine with it. Cause really, in the long run, we're gonna benefit.
Yeah, it's empty space that we're not using.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts our operation in any way.
Right.
It helps them, so win-win. Other things, water lines on Edith, Florence, they're scheduled to get those completed the end of the month. It's been a
Was
little
that when
bit.
it's supposed to be done the end of the month? Cause I've had a lot of people ask me about it and there've been a couple issues and.
Yes, that is the
And,
intention. They'll do a temporary asphalt patch with the weather and everything they haven't found those clear days to do.
I wasn't sure when they said they were going up to people's house and getting water out of their faucet. I didn't know what they meant by that. I had one of the guys say, yeah, they went up to my faucet to get water, and he said, so when I went to work, I shut my water off. It's like,
I have not heard that.
Yeah, so I don't
It
know.
could have been someone trying to fill up their water jug, I don't know.
might have been
Yeah, that's something I can think.
Strange one, but
Russ Smith lives down there. So, okay.
so that'll get cleaned up, and
Yeah, cause I think they're ready for that road to be clean, cause it's bad.
yeah. The drinking water pump station and secondary, Rocky Mountain Power is set transformers, so those are moving forward. We're probably have a shutdown of the drinking water one, and make those improvements. We're thinking the first part of February. So those are moving along good too.
Okay.
So that is it, unless you have any questions.
Nope, I'm good. Okay, Raymond, how about your water report?
Yeah, county water production for December 22 was 86.78 million gallons, or 266.32 acre feet, 13.9% decrease from 2021. Year-to-date production was 1,696.86 million gallons, or 5,207.84 acre feet, a decrease of 3.68 decrease from 2021. We have purchased 788.73 acre feet of Jordan Valley as of December 22. On part, as usually our contract, we try to get over 800. Due to the line break from Jordan Valley, we were 12 acre feet short this year. So talking with Jordan Valley, they carried that 12 acre feet over this year. So we'll end up to be able to use our 12 acre feet as throughout the year. So what I'm planning on doing is just use an acre foot a month for the rest of the year to get us to 812 at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanna compliment Raymond on that, pushing back and saying, hey, it messed us up, so they were good about it. So we appreciate Jordan Valley as well.
Just so all you guys do know, we do have a new general manager at Jordan Valley. He was the engineer. It's Alan Packer now. Is gonna be the new GM over there. And they also brought a deputy manager in, Jacob, Young. So,
What's the minimum amount, Raymond, we need to buy? Is there a
Our minimum is, our contract's set at 800.
800?
So if Raymond hadn't have done that, we could have been short. We would have had to pay for the 800.
Yeah, we had to pay for that regardless.
Yeah, good.
So we'll be
Good
able
job, Raymond.
Okay, thank you. call-out report, total number of call-outs. On the water side, total call-outs was 49. I believe total hours was 49, excuse me. Total number of call-outs was 10. For that, we had 2 mainline breaks, and we were fortunate this month of December for only having 2 mainline breaks. It was usually in the past where 12 to 15, so it was actually a nice winter so far for December for repairs.
Yeah, they making up for the summer.
Yeah.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dallas?
Mr. Chairman, under the wastewater tab, I just put in a little pamphlet that talks about some technology that we budgeted for at the treatment plant this year. It's a microscope. We've got a existing unit. It's just a little bit dated. You can kind of see the comparison pictures between what we have now and what we're looking to upgrade to. Just a high-level review on that. They're both phase contrast microscopes, but we're looking for more of an LED backlit one that provides a little better visual. The existing microscope is more of a low pressure sodium type light bulb that gives off kind of that orange or yellowish hue that you might recognize from some of the older street lights. Our plan for that is to check out a couple different facilities that are using newer microscopes and find out which ones will work best for us. We've kind of over budgeted for this. I don't think we'll spend what we budgeted for, but we want to create a little buffer there so that we could include any training that might be needed that doesn't come with it. So that's just, that's what that pamphlet's all about. I wanted to bring an item to the board that was a recent development at the treatment plant. Last Thursday, we had a bearing failure in one of the blowers on the aeration basin. We uninstalled that unit and took it over to Sidewinders to have that repaired. They dug into it a little bit. The cause of the failure, they've put as a bearing failure with heat. It's a self-lubricating bearing. We've been kind of looking at options to see what we can do to maybe extend that life. They've recommended a different type of lubrication inside that housing to try to create a little bit longer life. We had luckily the shelf unit that we ordered late last year, so we were able to take the failed unit out, install the shelf unit. We were down for about 14 hours. DO went down, of course, with the loss of the unit. But once we got the shelf unit back on, we were right back in business. However, Monday of the following week, we had a power outage that caused an additional unit to fail. So 2 blowers in 1 week. The second unit is at Sidewinders now. I don't have that report back yet as far as what that failure was. We don't know if it's coincidental or if there's something that we're missing. There's a regular service schedule that those things get maintenance on. But with those self-lubricating bearings, there's no greaser. So just kind of trying to figure that out. We've ordered 2 additional blower shelf units in the event that this happens. That's been kind of the strategy all along, is establish how many shelf units we need and start ordering those incrementally throughout this 2023 year. So I've been in contact with Clint about that. The operations team is on top of it. The ammonia, if you guys remember, we've been in trouble for ammonia before. The last reading that I got this morning was 0.39 milligrams per liter. We have a daily maximum of 30 milligrams per liter, so we're still well under that. This is just something that I wanted to bring to the board in case something happens. You guys aren't left in the dark. The repair of the unit that's at Sidewinders, they've already ordered the repair parts, and I anticipate having that unit back in service by Wednesday of next week. So about a 1-week turnaround, given the specifics of the exact failure. Because we don't know what failed on the second unit, I can't comfortably say it'll be another 1 week, but that's kind of what we can anticipate. So if I've got a copy of that repair report that I was going to share with you guys offline, and then if you had any questions about the aeration equipment before I move on to my next item, I'd be happy to discuss it.
How come it takes 14 hours to swap one out off the shelf?
So it failed in the middle of the night. And rather than bring a crew in to do an unfamiliar job in the dark, we calculated some of the demand and made the decision to wait until the following morning to make the repair with a full crew.
What kind of time frame does it take to swap one?
And it was about 2 hours.
Is it that
So, by the time you get the old one out and put the new one on, so, it takes it's a team lift. I've got some photos of the unit and what it looks like for you guys to have a good understanding of it. It takes Bob and some of his mechanic tools, so it's not necessarily plug and play, it is, but it's a big unit,
Yeah,
so.
I just wonder if you could have Victaulic couplings and stuff like that in there that might help. The other thing is the bearings they tell you that are in there are permanent lubricated and sometimes don't fly, but if you've got some extra vibration going on there, maybe we're off the curve of that pump.
Sure.
It can make that bearing fail. So we might need to go in and look at the frequency on the vibration to see if there's anything that's causing it to be out of balance. So when you operate a unit that's under its curve, let's say you got more back pressure than you normally expect, you would get more vibration, higher frequency, that would cause the bearing to fail.
So if you're changing sludge, like the volume, the MLSS, right, mixed liquor, if you're going a higher concentration, you're changing the loading. Is what I'm saying.
It wouldn't purge as much, right?
You're changing the loading on the aeration unit, potentially, right? Is that what you're, that type of.
If it's pushing more pressure, you might monitor that. We might determine what you're reading for your discharge pressure on your pump, on your pump. If it's a little bit high, we might be out of the normal operation curve, and then that makes vibration, and that makes it rattle more and can cause the bearing to premature fail.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if putting Zerks in it, I've done that in the case where you add Zerk and you just put a little in. Too much grease will actually cause another problem, but we might also look at synthetic grease that might give you a little more life.
Right.
But I have a feeling it's something to do with that back pressure. You might want to monitor that somehow to see what kind of back pressure you get and put a tap on it and be able to read what kind of back pressure you're getting.
Sure.
That might be it.
And I agree with you. That's part of the investigation, and some of the vibration analysis is annotated in the report that I could share with you.
But I wanted to say, we're appreciative that the board moved forward with that unit. Because they're 10 to 12 weeks. So,
10 to 12 weeks.
we're either the Sidewinder repair of a week, which even a week's tough. We could probably make a week work, cross fingers.
Right.
Yeah,
But we can't make 10 to 12 weeks.
Right.
No.
So.
Well, I had guys ask me, why don't we have one unit that supplies all of them? And I'm going, are you kidding me? That's too vulnerable. But they're saying that you have 2 units, one that's on standby, and you feed the whole system. I thought, we got 8 units out there. That'd be a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Sure.
So we appreciate that support on that.
Thanks.
Helped us out in that situation.
A couple more things. We've gone through the initial service of our new clarifier drive motors. We've been working with CAP over in West Valley. They've got a oil sample analysis test kit that you can take, $16. You take a sample, it's a minimum of 2 ounces. They take it over their lab, which is in West Valley. They analyze it, and we'll start to track fluid, I guess, diagnosing fluids.
Are they cheaper though than Wheeler Machinery?
The thing we liked about CAP was that their lab is in-house, and you can do, the convenience of their pickup and drop-off hours was good for us. A couple different guys were making phone calls, and it just happened that CAP reached back to us quicker. At $16 per sample, I thought that was pretty fair.
Pretty cheap.
Included a PDF report of all the analysis. I know that oil analysis was something that the board has encouraged, so I wanted to pass that along. And we've got some of this information for Raymond if he is starting to track some of that too. And we'll make sure that this stuff just gets recorded for future use.
Bob brought me in a
we've
complete, he got me complete oil sample. He followed up on all of the major.
Yeah, we started last year. And, it's cat, your place that you're sampling is a lot cheaper. Cat is like $25 to $28
Okay.
a sample, so we'll have to look into your source.
Sure.
So the only
All
thing,
all those samples looked good, by the way, yeah, so.
the only two things you look at, if you've got extra heat from vibration and whatnot, then you've got a breakdown of your oil. You can go to synthetics. The other one is you're looking for contamination, any dirt or water that's in there. Are you documenting any of the microscope pictures that you take?
Yeah, we have a folder that's saved with them. We send them to our consultants and they put a third set of eyes on them.
Okay.
So that's all documented, so we can trend, how biology is reacting to different variables of the process.
Oh, that's great.
So, last but not least, Mr. Chairman, if I could just have one more minute, I wanted to highlight that at the wastewater treatment plant, we've allocated a little bit of space to kind of duplicate what Raymond's team has done with a little training site. We've got a piece of pipe in the ground where the operators can use the backhoe to simulate doing some of that excavation. The lead men have been kind of supervising and overseeing that training part of it. So as they've been able to find time, or as we've brought on newer operators, we've got multiple training sites where they get a little more operation and safety training.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Leisle, I'm gonna turn this,
Okay.
give us a report.
So you've seen this before.
Yes.
So what I've highlighted are things that we've completed and then things that are coming up. That we filed the final budget for 2023 with the state auditor's office. What's coming up next is I'll be reporting to the board the end of December financials next month. Dallas also, it's not on this report, but he mentioned that there's an annual biosolids report that's due February 28th, and he filed it this week. Is that what you said?
Correct.
So that's been done. So we're gonna try to incorporate all of the department's compliance reports, any legal internal policy requirements onto this checklist. So we're just working on it. We'll get all of them on here. The board member contact information that's supposed to go on the public notice website. There's no changes obviously in our board this year, so I'll just double check to make sure it's all there and still the same. The semi-annual report to the state money management department council, that's due at the end of this month. It's in process right now. The statement for division of corporations, that's just so that if someone wants to file a notice of claim with Magna Water, they can look onto that site and find out who they're supposed to file it with. I'll double check that hasn't changed or is still the same. Our water use report is due March 31st. We're working on that. The employee performance evaluations, they were completed. Annual filing of the fraud risk assessment that was adopted last month, it has been submitted to the state auditor's office also. That's really not due until June, but we like to get that in. And today you appointed a new chair for the year 2023.
Got 300 in.
Oh, and excuse me. Andrew reminded me there's an OSHA 300A report that's due annually and also to OSHA, and also it has to be posted in all our locations. It's a report of any injuries in the district, and that has been posted.
It's been posted and will be reported before, has to be reported before March 1st.
Thank you.
Okay,
So as far as we're aware, we're in compliance.
awesome.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt. If I could, one more thing I wanted to bring up before we get too far away from wastewater. Just a conversation that I wanted to kind of bring to your attention, get on your radar. With the development of these larger industrial buildings in the district, Trevor and I have been working with the state pretreatment coordinator, and the way that process works is if a tenant wants to come in and use a portion of that building, we have a pretreatment application that we've developed and is kind of in process. And we wanted to just have a little bit of board involvement in the fact that if a tenant comes to the district and wants to rent or purchase a portion of that building, we can either approve or deny that permit. And we didn't want to run into a situation where a potential tenant wanted to get into some of that building space and we deny them without you guys being aware. So,
What kind of building would that be?
well, just even some of these larger buildings at the Freeport Center, the first example that comes to mind is we had a dairy manufacturer that wanted to move into the Freeport, and some of their effluent characteristics would be too much for us.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that we look at real careful when potential tenants come in. We just didn't want there to be because of your involvement and knowledge with the community, I didn't want to have a potential tenant come to you and say they were denied without us being able to say, hey, this is kind of our process. This is some of the paperwork that we look for them to have, just so you guys can be a part of that process and understand kind of what we go through.
So the guy that owns the building, he can decide to rent that to somebody, but all of a sudden,
Yeah.
so do we have an agreement with that property owner? that
Well, I
he
think that's
has
the
to bring
key.
that
I
through?
think that's the key is the board sees that when it's built, before it's built, you approve it.
Right,
But then it could be filled with a different tenant.
Right.
And so they come in after the fact, so then it goes through the building permit process, which is not the same process.
doesn't involve us at all.
And so West Valley City does a good job of making sure we're involved.
Oh.
They make that tenant get a letter that we approve it.
Okay,
But we don't have in the documents that formally goes back to the board.
oh, okay.
So I think what Dallas is saying is, we wanna make sure you're aware that that's
Just in an
happening.
effort of transparency, we just want to make sure that you guys are on the same page with how we make those decisions.
Well, I'm more worried that we get a tenant in there that's gonna put a lot of effluent down the drain. So
Yeah.
don't even care.
That's good you're watching that. I mean, it's,
So do we have a direct relationship with, we don't because it's in West Valley City?
They have a checklist,
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
send it
so
over to us.
any tenant improvement gets sent to me, and then we review it from, the improvements themselves, how much water they're using, what their sewer discharge is, domestic or otherwise, look at the pre-treatment needed. And then we really, like, the dairy is one, that's really the only one that we've denied. The rest of them have just been domestic, so we haven't come into a case where it's a processed water being discharged other than that dairy. And that one was a fairly, I think easy for us to say, we literally couldn't handle it. They were using too much, so that was a little different case. But there could be someone who uses, their discharge is plenty or low enough for us to handle within the treatment plant, but they may need to treat it differently. And in that case, we could deny it just because we don't want to deal with it, or we could put some limitations on that according to the EPA and the state.
Like on the dairy one, could they do a pre-treatment that would help them meet the requirement?
They are
That would
required.
cost money?
We've got some pre-treatment standards in place that outline some of the effluent concentrations that they're allowed to do. So if they can't meet that initially, they have some internal pre-treatment to be able to meet that before it hits the sewer system. But, there's kind of one of the things that you can run up against is if an outfit says, yeah, we can't meet that, there's some language in the contracts that just allow them to pay for the overage. The entity that Trevor speaks about, that yogurt manufacturer, they were willing just to pay any overage that it was and not do the pre-treatment. And
That don't fly with
Right.
us. That'd kill you.
So, that one.
Do it like the EPA does. So when you do a violation, then, overage on the stack emissions, then they double it, then the next time they double that, then they double that. It's so expensive, they can't afford it, so.
Yeah, that's what we were looking at, like, hey, you want to, mirror our treatment process, then you can connect.
Well, the thing I worry about is you make them put in a pre-treatment system, then what keeps them from washing it down and dumping that stuff down there, so you have to be careful.
Yeah,
It almost has to be monitored, it sounds like anyway, it's just good you have a relationship like that, but that can really happen.
that's all, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Andrew. So,
Mr. Chairman, what we have in here under the HR section is the performance appraisal and goals. Last time we spoke, you guys had talked about that you had some concerns with the way we were doing it and that we'd like to make some adjustments. You had suggested that you'd like to take that from $600 to $1,000. And so what we did is we broke that down and we changed it to $600 based off their performance goals. And we're gonna do it quarterly rather than annually. We'll still pay out at the annual just as we have, but we'll be checking in with them quarterly to see where they're at on their goals, and then we'll report back to the board some of the successes that we've had. So our managers will be meeting with all their people quarterly, and I'll be in those meetings as well to check on goals. And then we've added in there, as you can see, portion for set expectations. And so you can see goals are based off of things that you've achieved. Expectations aren't really what they've achieved. It's meeting a minimum expectation of performance. So what we did is we tried to keep it as objective as possible so that we didn't run into employees feel like they've been pointed out by a manager saying this is subjective. So-and-so got his based off of this and I didn't because he doesn't like me. So the things that will tie them to this expectation is that they stay within their bounds according to the AR&Rs. And you can see some of the things that are outlined for the managers to be able to go through are refusal of employee to be trained or train somebody else, refusal to use the required safety equipment, repeated violation of safety rules, poor attendance, insubordination, unwillingness to correct performance deficiencies, action unbecoming of the Magna District's culture, obscene language, threatening behavior, engaging in conduct toward customers, trustees, management, fellow employees, contractors, consultants, general public that is belligerent, hostile, and argumentative in conduct. So the other adjustment that we've made is we ran into this year a tight spot where we finished up the goals 2 days, 3 days before the Christmas party when we wanted to have things approved so that we could recognize our employees for their efforts. So we've adjusted that the goals and expectations have to be submitted by October 31st and be ready to the managers and be ready for evaluation for the board by November 15th, which will give you guys month leeway to review the information to approve. And then the last part of this is just some guidance for the managers to understand how best to conduct these quarterly meetings, delivering some negative feedback effectively, reinforce the company values when setting the goals, let the employees talk about some self-evaluation that they have, and make sure we schedule enough time with the employee that they're comfortable with the conversation that we're having and that they get everything out of it. Is there any questions on this new?
I like this.
The only thing I worry about, I mean, I think you've done a really good job here. Sometimes people will post things on social media that can be deemed negative.
Okay.
And I think we need to make everybody aware they need to be careful about that.
Okay. And that could fall under the engaging in conduct towards or communication towards the customers. I can outline in there as well.
Be a specific
Be
example.
specific of social media, in person,
Yeah.
or anything else like that.
Yeah, I take
I can
that
add
as
that.
malicious gossip,
Yeah.
but sometimes it'd be hurtful. Now, I found a place that you can't help that, where they have to tell somebody, like if I tell you that, you know, down here at Magnoire, they're a bunch of idiots and all that kind of stuff, and then you post it, nothing you can do about that, but they still need to be careful about what they say.
Yeah.
So I think this,
I'll add that in there.
We thought that was a good discussion with the board, good feedback from the board to improve. I appreciate the board still supporting the program, but making some tweaks so we can address it. I think if we can address, we talked about if there is an issue that comes up with an employee, just letting them know at the time that happens, when you write that when you give them a verbal warning or you give them a written warning, hey, this is gonna impact your performance goals. Just do it at that
Yeah.
time, rather than wait till the year end
At
and
the end of the
then.
year, yeah.
So that addresses, I think, both
Oh, I
concerns.
think that's gonna be good.
So we'll just do that.
Yeah, we'll make sure that that's addressed immediately so that they don't feel surprised by it in December.
Okay.
The only other thing I have to point out is with the hiring of our 2 new employees, from listing to starting date, listing the job to starting was 52 days. During the holidays, I feel like that was pretty impressive that the managers were able to make time throughout that period with everything that was going on to be able to make it into the interviews and find the people and get them started when they did.
Isn't
I thought that was pretty
52 days a long time, or is that good?
I think that's a pretty quick, 52 days is pretty quick turnaround
This market.
in this market.
With the market we have right now.
Yeah.
And our
It-
previous, I think.
I think the previous one was up in the hundreds.
Oh,
And so,
okay.
so 52 is pretty impressive I mean, you're considering by the time you post it on the site and you get enough applicants interested, and then you have to schedule interviews when Raymond and Dallas and their leads can all be there, and then have a second interview with them and get them to accept a job with 2 weeks' notice for their supervisor, to their previous job. The year, that 52 days is pretty quick turnaround considering especially the holidays. I was pretty
Well, it's good we
happy
find
with the
somebody.
responsiveness with Dallas and Raymond
Yeah, 'cause I thought it
to
was
accommodate.
long. Okay. Thank you.
Compliment, yeah, Andrew's been great. He's thorough, follows up.
I like how things are picked up and things are changing.
Really good.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, it helps everybody here.
Yeah.
Everybody can do their job better. I'm really proud.
Okay, let's move on to item K, water and sewer availability.
Thank you, Board and Chair. So what we have on here is Delgado and Sons. It's a trucking facility. It is along the south frontage road at approximately 6311 West. So that's just an overview map there. Then I'll kind of zoom in to where the property is. And this is also in the packet. It's roughly 2 acres. You know, I believe they own this whole parcel, or it's 2 separate parcels, but their intention is just to develop this front one.
And what side's that on? Is that on the south?
South side.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
You'll see the Freeport Center
Yep.
is these larger buildings kind of down
Right.
there. And so this is just along there. The Godfrey facility is just a little bit further east.
Okay,
They're right here. So it'll be a building with
So
I think,
they're-
multiple bays.
They're west of Godfrey?
They are.
yes, I think that might be Great Western Lacey next to them.
They're on the opposite side.
That's
of
the
Godfrey,
other
and
end,
then the
okay.
next one is
Okay.
Great
It's
Western.
right next to the old restaurant.
Oh,
To
the Gear Jammer,
Gear Jammer,
It's
awesome.
on the east side of it.
Joanna's Gear
When they had
Jammer.
that gravel, they're selling rock and stuff.
No, that's over farther east,
Other farther.
two more lots over.
It's just a little 2-acre spot.
Yeah, he knows where it's
They're
at.
gonna use it to position trucks and stuff. right?
They're building like a maintenance building.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, I think 4 bays.
So
So just basically parking lots, storm drain, they'll put
What's
in
the
there.
property behind them?
I know.
They own a portion of that, just
Oh, they
this
do?
little piece here, but they're not, that is not part of this,
They won't have any access out the back, or will they?
will not,
Okay,
no. So,
okay. So,
yeah, it's pretty basic. They'll have water and sewer connection. They'll put a secondary along the frontage. You know, have a connection for outdoor irrigation.
okay.
I think approving this is
So, Mr.
my
Chairman,
recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the, water and sewer, for the development for Delgado and Sons Trucking Facility at 6311 West, SR 201, South Frontage Road.
I'll second that.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to item L.
Okay, so this is the It's a task order for the influent pump station. If you recall, last year we had the,
Stantec.
yep, it's a Stantec Bone and Collins team. Last year we did the first part of this, which was the pump station, evaluation. We went through different types of pumps, chose the screw pump as the approach. And this also includes, a new grit washer building. So we went through that process. This is the second part of that to dive into the design of that facility. I think through our experience with both groups, we know they do a very thorough job. We know that our plan sets and our specifications are very good, keeps the contract and the project running very smoothly. Very confident in their team and their abilities. This is a little less than 10% of the project cost, which falls in line with kind of the industry standard on design costs. So if there are no specific questions or anything, I would recommend that we approve this task order.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Santec task order design and bid service for the wastewater treatment plant, effluent pump station project in the amount of $489,400.
Second that.
Any motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes, okay. Epic Engineering task order for design and bidding.
Yep, so Epic Engineering has put this task order together. It's for our water line replacements for this year. Those water lines are on 8850. That is a 4-inch line that we're replacing. Seen a lot of issues in that over the last few years, breaks, fixes by our crews, so it's gonna be a really good one to take care of. The other one is on 9000 West. That's a 6-inch, but similar issues, breaks, leaks.
A lot of breaks over in that area, huh?
Yep. Epic Engineering is highly capable. They've done a lot of these for us over the years. This one is in, that area, that it's a little bit tricky. They're well qualified and have helped us through those situations in the past, and projects are successful, so would recommend approving this task order as well.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Epic Engineering task order for design and bidding construction management services on the 2023 water line replacement project in the amount of $97,900.
Second that.
It's been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next one, award district audit service.
It's like that, last month we reported that, we're sending out an RFP for a new auditing firm. And January 4th was the deadline for the RFPs to come in. We received one by Gilbert and Stewart. We even advertised on the state bid site that most CPAs go to find work. So I feel confident with this firm. They in their RFP they indicated that they are current auditors for Jordan Valley Water District, and they also have several other special districts that they audit for now. In their RFP, they also indicated that the expected time frame to complete each year's audit is June 15th, and our audit report is due to the state by June 30th. So it still will be later, but this is what they said in their RFP. They are based out of Provo, but it sounds to me like they won't have any problem getting staff here and to complete our audit.
And what happened, excuse me, what happened to was it time to rebid, or did the other one, they couldn't?
Both,
Yeah,
but
okay.
the biggest spill, cause I was gonna wait till after our single audit for
Right.
for
And they
the
couldn't?
grant that we received, I was gonna wait till after that to rebid, but they had a partner that, had some health issues.
Okay, that's right, I remember you telling me, okay, cool.
So, kind of forced us to rebid anyway. Their pricing, I feel, is good. They're only $1,000 more than what we've been being billed now.
How long
So-
how long had we had the auditor before?
I wanna say maybe 7 years.
7?
I know we were over the 5, but it hadn't been that long. So I recommend awarding our auditing service to Gilbert and Stewart. I have spoke with them, invited them to this meeting, but they were hoping to get some vacation time before their busy time started, and so I have been in
It takes them
communication with
until
them.
the 15th of June to finish?
Yep, they have year ends that, March and April year ends that they're busy with, and also they're a tax firm. So they're gonna try to get in here the first part of March.
Okay, so
It's hectic schedule.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve district's auditing services to Gilbert and Stewart CPA in the amount not to exceed $13,500 for 2022, $13,500 for 2023, and $13,500 for 2024, and $14,000 for 2025, and $14,000 for 2026.
Second that.
it's been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, administration, discussion of probably motion to approve the following administration items. The information discussed only, no action needed. The next board meeting, February 9th, 2023 at 10 a.m. 23 board meeting schedule and 23 holiday schedule.
We put the board meeting schedule in there because last one we made some changes. We just wanted to clarify the changes and make sure everybody was aware of when the dates are. So next month is the second Thursday as usual. March has changed, but.
March has
we can go through
changed,
that.
April's changed.
And then-
June's changed.
Sorry.
We got more on the third week than we do the second.
Sorry.
No?
A lot of conflicts on that second week.
But if you want copies of these, I can email them to you so they're not in the booklet. Just holler and let me know. The
Just
holiday
make
schedule-
me a copy and then I'll just hang it at home, in my office.
You want the written or the calendar?
You can give me the calendar, it's easier to read.
Yeah. And then the holiday schedule is just, Mick wanted to see what the district's holiday schedule was. The difference between the two colors is when Magna Water will take either a Monday or Thursday off rather than that actual holiday day. Does that make sense? So January 1st was on a Sunday, Magna Water took off the 2nd. The rest of the yellows throughout the year, that will be the day that the Magna Water office is closed, and that is the same day as the holiday. So the only other would be in November and December, the green dates there.
And that's when we have negotiations coming up, right?
Yes. That's
Address
just,
any of those concerns
Yeah.
for coverage. But it shows you we do have some issues that we need to work through, we think. It would help us out in January, November, December.
So if I'm looking at December, you guys would be off you'd be off the 22nd?
if nothing changes,
If nothing changes,
Be off the 22nd to the 27th.
Yeah.
You can just come back. Your last day in would be 21st, and you come back 27th.
So in line with what the board has talked, that idea of making, balancing out having coverage, people here in coverage so that we can stay open versus observing the holiday, how do we do that? That will be the discussion that we'll try to find a better solution for.
So we don't need to make a motion on that.
Okay, let's move on. Training and safety.
So we have the 3 local conferences coming up, Rural Water on February 27th through March 3rd in St. George, Water Users March 20th through 22nd in St. George, and the WAU on April 25th through the 28th in St. George. We'd like to propose to send Trevor, Clint Dilly, Matt Skogerbo, Dallas Henline, Connor McReynolds, Clint Giles, and Travis McDonald to the rural water users, and the rural water. Part of the large number there is that they offer classes while there and allow them to test. And so I believe 5 of the attendees would be testing for certifications.
And we've got some new challenges with the testing that have come up at our water treatment plant. I'd let these guys give the board a heads up on what's changed and why there's some renewed urgency.
We need to go to one of these.
We do. To attend and get some certifications.
Yeah, we come across right now that our wastewater treatment, our water treatment plant, we only have a grade 1 for treatment. The state is requiring us to have a grade 4, which is because of our population has reached 32,000.
We do have a grade 4,
Right.
but we don't have a second one that's,
Yeah,
we don't have backup.
so yeah, we do have a T4, which is one of our members, but we need to, like I said, get a T4, so sending Matt and to go and try to go take this test in St. George.
So we got Trevor going.
Trevor, Clint, Matt, I can get you a list if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Trevor, Clint, Matt, Dallas, Connor McReynolds, Clint Giles, and Travis McDonald,
And any board, and any trustees that want to
and
attend.
any trustees. So the cost is $380 per person. Hotels right now are averaging around 144.
Too bad.
And, oh, my math's gonna be a little off. Times
That's 5 nights.
7.
Scared here.
Let me hurry and do this. You got that number already?
No. Oh, I guess I do have a phone in my lap.
I apologize.
7
times.
What you do, he just tell you right there. It's kind of, how do you do that?
720.
A lot of trades.
Yeah, he's unemployed, but he got hit. Right. From all these numbers on multiple.
Mental math.
Yeah.
Hang around the racetrack.
Sorry, I didn't adjust for the 5 nights, was the problem.
Okay.
So, you got 91, 40?
I got 69.40, but that's okay.
So, you're looking at around $1,000 a person, which would come down to, I believe, $91.40 for the rural water.
Well, we have already budgeted that in our budget anyhow for our
Yes.
training, so as long as we don't succeed our training, we're okay.
Yeah. The good one about this one, rural water, is they are in class all week. So it's a real intensive training. And then they take the test while they're down.
They take it on Friday, don't
They
they?
get to be amongst their peer group
Yeah.
to share and strategize. So it's a good opportunity for the operators.
Okay.
Okay, and then, the water users, We have Raymond Mondragon, Justin Long, and myself going. The cost there is $125 a person, and hotels are running around $122 a night currently. And this does give you early bird registration discount. You have that number there. And then the WEAU, you'll keep crunching those. We have Trevor going, Rob Jaturka, Clint Dilly, Dallas Henline, Paul Bird, Bo Lamper, and myself. And that one also offers the earlier bird discount. And your, oh my goodness, my costs are off because I didn't do this, didn't do the nights. I just
What's
did
the registration on the WEAU?
The WEAU was
120.
that was 125 for the, it was 375 for the WEAU, 125 for the water users.
Well, I don't care what the cost is as long as we stay within our budget.
I think we'll be fine.
We wanted to make sure.
We just want to make sure that you're
Right,
okay.
right,
So
right.
in total, what you're looking at is we're sending 4 service operators, 4 wastewater operators, and then if you count Clint and Trevor and Dallas, myself twice, then you're talking 8 managers going.
We got anybody here to run it?
We
To
did
those
separate that.
To all
No,
3.
I
Not
just-
3,
Okay.
not at one time.
Yeah, when we did keep trying to adjust it for
Okay.
that. And hopefully come early March, we have 5 people with new certifications, which would be
That would
awesome.
be awesome.
That'd be nice.
So-
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go make a motion to
Approval.
approve the, yes, the
Okay,
training.
so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the training and safety items, rural water, February 27th to March 3rd, 2023, St. George. Water users, March 20th to March 22nd, 2023, in St. George. And the WEAU, April 25th to the 28th, 2023, St. George.
I'll second that.
It's been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to close the open at 11:33?
11:33. I'd like to make a motion to meet immediately in closed session to discuss character, professional competence, physical or mental health of an individual pending and reasonable imminent litigation, and the purchase, exchange, and lease of real property, including any form of water right or water shares pursuant to Utah Code 52-4-204 through 205.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Motion to close the, closed meeting and open the open meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not very good.
We didn't take no action. So do we have any other business?
Second read that.
Anybody have any other business? See none? Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What time?
Time is 12:44.